the United stand. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Has Manchester United been sold to the Saudis? We'll be talking about that. Also, I just want to say to everybody who is watching live, apologies for a little bit late. My computer's running slower than Matic runs the Manchester United midfield at the moment. But here we go. So let's fly into it. Lots to talk about. We're talking about Zlatan as well tonight. We'll also be talking about some comments from Gary Neville, Chris Smalling, and the potential for Tahith Chong to leave Manchester United as well, which I think is quite interesting. But let's fly straight into this. Weird one. It's a really weird one because it's hashtag Saudis in has been trending on Twitter. Well, you may take that with a pinch of salt because we've seen hashtag Glazers out. But this is coming from a verified, he's got a blue tick, his name's Moeed Mahoub, he's Director of Government Affairs in Saudi Arabia, and he posted on his LinkedIn page, I think it was yesterday actually, or maybe it was today, that an unnamed Saudi Arabian has bought Manchester United. Let's see for the official announcement. I mean, it's bizarre, it's absolutely bizarre, but it has sent many Manchester United fans into absolute delirium this Friday night. They're celebrating as if it's going to happen. I'm going to just make my stance here and say I don't believe this to be true. I don't believe it to be true at all. I don't even know whether I want it to be true because I think, you always want to, anything's not better than the Glazers. That's naive. If it is a very rich Saudi Arabian businessman, then maybe it is better than the Glazers. But if it's the government, then there is obviously issues with that potentially. So I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. And I think that the fact that nobody in mainstream media has picked this up and it's really just something that people are running with on Twitter says a lot about the credibility of this source at this stage. I think it needs to be taken with a huge pinch of salt, and we'll have to just wait and see how it develops. But I suppose it does pose the question, really, are we that desperate to be owned by other owners at Manchester United that we would go along with some rumour that we're going to get taken over by Saudi Arabians? It's an interesting one, and everyone's got an opinion. I understand the human rights issues potentially levelled against Saudi Arabia, and the issues that some United fans would have with that, and I think it's a very valid argument. But at the end of the day, I mean, look, most billionaires, wherever they're from, will have some dodgy background behind them, some moral questions to answer. And, I mean, do you want to swim around in oil or do you want to swim around in shit? And at the moment, we've been swimming around in shit for 6 years. So, look, I don't think there's anything in the rumour. I would lean towards two things, really. Yes, United have got officials over in Saudi Arabia. But this has been something that had been planned for a number of months, and it's believed to be more about going over there and securing brand deals and future partnerships. Secondly, there is no indications that the Glazers want to sell Manchester United. So it's not even 2 + 2 = 5. It's 2 + 2 = 105, because there is no indication that the Glazers are looking to sell United. And if they are, then, great, but at the moment I think we'll just become Genocide FC, says Ulrich Dalland. Well, it is a contentious issue. It is a contentious issue, and it's not one I would want to be commenting on for a number of reasons, really. But I wouldn't want to comment on it because I personally don't think there's anything in it, and I think until there is something in it, we as fans shouldn't be overawed with it. But I mean, look, smash a like on the video if you take the Saudis, because Saudi in is trending on Twitter at the moment. And I want to read some of your comments before we move on to the football. There's a comment here I just wanted to read, if I can get it. Halvard Trigset says, if the Saudi government comes in and we can wave bye-bye to our club, would be a disaster. We would turn into a soulless factory for sports washing. No, thank you. Interesting. And don't care about human rights, mate. Just want to win the league, says Syed Jazz. I mean, I'm not laughing about human rights. Human rights is a very, very, very serious thing. But you know what? At least he's either telling a joke or he's actually just thinking, sod it, I'm just going to say what a lot of people are actually thinking, which is interesting. Stacey English says murdering people is a dodgy background. Well, Stacey, I specifically said I didn't name the government. I said that this particular source, Moed Mahoub, is saying that it's an unnamed Saudi Arabian. So you're talking about the royal family or the government or anything like that. I'm talking about morally dodgy backgrounds. Most people have them. So, you know, I'm not getting into that political argument. That is not what we do on the United Stand. I know exactly what you're talking about, but we may not even be talking about that. You know, there's a lot of money in Saudi Arabia. You don't have to be religious. Not religious, royalty or government. Taking this with a pinch of salt, however, they can get Paul Mitchell in as a director of football and move Woodward to financial side and back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm okay with it, says Zachary Purvis. Well, it's interesting because I saw Rance tweeting earlier and he said, you know, if we do get the Saudis, why do you think they're going to want Wally in charge? And Rance is getting a lot of stick at the moment because he's calling Ollie Wally, which I actually just think is funny because I think Wally is a funny name, but... He's, you know, I know Rance. He's a good lad, and he makes his bed, and he's more than happy to lie in it. He does it with he sleeps soundly, and he doesn't need Horlicks. He's convinced that Ollie's not the right person, and I don't think he's a big fan of Rashford either. But there you go. It's not true, says Michael J. And in the description of this video, you've typed investigator instead of investor. Just maybe, says Sahil Prosti. Well, I'll have to check that at the end of the show. But what's the use if we get new owners? And Woodward still says it's like plugging a hole with straw, says Graham Alphonsus. To be honest with you, if we had, and I'm talking in a hypothetical here, if Manchester United got took over by the likes of what Man City have been taken over by, the Abu Dhabi people, then there is no way that Woodward would stay in his job. He might stay in the job initially, but Woodward would have been sacked by the Man City owners because he's incompetent on the football side of things. The relationship that the Glazers have with Woodward is a grateful relationship because he's always made them a lot of money. If somebody took over Manchester United, they'd be spending so much money on us to buy us and giving the Glazers so much money for it. They wouldn't come in and just go, let's bleed the fans dry, because that won't work anymore. Whoever buys Manchester United, if it was bought, they would have to have success on the football pitch. And therefore, Woodward may retain his job in the short term, but they'd soon realise he's rubbish and they would sack him anyway. And that could be the same for Ollie. It could be the same for some of the players as well. The guy posted something on Twitter, but I don't know what it means. He posted 7 minutes ago, says Bo Boomer. I may be able to just have a quick look at that. Just while I'm doing that, though, just very quickly, can we just bring another topic in here? Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This is interesting. Apparently there's been small contact for Zlatan Ibrahimovic to Manchester United, which I think is rather interesting as well, because why is that a deal that you would want to do, Manchester United? I don't know. I mean, for me it's a big fat no, but we seem to be confusing ourselves with what's going on with Manchester United at the moment. But there has been a tweet. Let's have a quick look. 10 minutes ago. So he is called at Moaid Mayoub, which is at MOAIDMAHJOUB. And he has tweeted 10 minutes ago saying, only when hashtag Saudis are in, no competitor in the market, we power the world investment. Hashtag Manchester United. I mean, he's got 111,000 followers on Twitter. He is verified. He's a journalist stroke public relations director at Princess Jawahar Al Saud private office. Check out my official Facebook. I don't know. I mean, look, you know, we're talking about it. I mean, I'm not messing about. He has just tweeted that 10 minutes ago. Only when hashtag Saudis are in, there'll be no competitor in the market. We power the world investment. It's interesting. It is interesting. And look, that's come out 10 minutes ago. Maybe he's watching the United Stand. I don't know. But it's interesting. Who would be the investor? What would it be? What would it mean to Manchester United fans? It's all questions that we will have to wait and see for the answer. But, you know, it's interesting that we're live on air. And I'm not saying he's a watcher of the United Stand, but initially it was just a LinkedIn post and now he's posted it on Twitter. Upbeat, sarcastic, forget the human rights abuses and terrorist funding. Saudis turned City into a real football team. Can't forgive that. Well, it's not Saudis, is it, who did that? It was Abu Dhabi. Different places as far as I'm concerned. And it's a fake account, Mark, says Camagello Matthews. Well, if it's a fake account, it's got 111,000 subscribers and it's blue tick verified. And he's been on Twitter since 2009. So it's not a fake account, is it? It's weird. Maybe someone's hacked him. I don't know. Hacked his account. Nothing like that. I'd take Zlatan with the pace we have around him. They can not press a defence up to the halfway line. And if they sit deep, he will get goals. He can help us, says Zachary Purvis. Bring United back to the top, says Alfred. Will Ollie be able to continue his back to the Man United DNA approach, says Yuri Hegg. I mean, look what I read. Saudis in, Goldbridge for manager, says Toby Sefa. Look, the United stand is a democracy. It is, well, it's not a democracy. It's a diverse opinion platform, and there will be people who are very passionately not wanting this, and there will be people who are very passionately wanting it. What I would say is, very, very quickly, the pros and cons. If United were sold to somebody from Saudi Arabia, there's highly likely they're going to be a billionaire. Whoever comes in is going to have to spend money to make us successful, and that would be their desire. So that's a positive. The negative side of things is, what do they know about football? What do they know about Manchester United? If they're in control, do they really give a shit about football, the United fans, the history? Would they just be flippant? We want this, we want Neymar, we want Mbappe, you've lost the game, you're sacked. You just don't know how it's going to go. You don't know how it's going to go. And what I would say is, if the Glazers sellers and they buyers, no one's going to be able to afford us again because they're going to pay ridiculous amounts of money. So there are risks attached to it. But having said that, hopefully they would be very, very good businessmen. Some of the comments are really disgusting. They're saying we will become Genocide FC. Absolutely insulting, says Youssef Mohammed. Well, Youssef, it's opinion, isn't it? People get very passionate about football. I would just take it as that. It's people who are worried about who might own Manchester United, and some people just want them to own Manchester United. People saying oil. I do think that there would be a level of hypocrisy to be aimed at us as a fan base if we did get taken over by people who are rich off oil, because we've spent many a year laughing at Manchester City, saying that, you know, oil has made them relevant. I think that's a difference though, isn't it? I mean, Manchester City comparably were bought very, very cheap. They had a stadium because of the Commonwealth Games. They were a shit club, and they were bought and made into a very good club. United are a very profitable club. And if somebody bought us, would they ultimately be spending loads and loads of money of their own money? Or would they actually just be like, I'm not really buying Manchester United to make money. We'll use the profit that United make to spend money in the transfer market. That's what many a fan has been saying needs to happen anyway. Because the way Manchester United's run, realistically, what you would like to do is say, United make £300 million a year in profit, and our outgoings for wages and running costs are 150 million. Therefore, we spend 150 million every year. That's what us fans would like to do. We'd like to spend our profit after costs. Unfortunately, the Glazers owners, they've got debt, they want dividends, they want money in their own pocket, and then they've got their running costs, and that all comes out of the profit. So that's why we don't spend as much. A new owner might want to. George Ramos, I think we should consider it because we will be good again. Signings, trophies, positives, more Deadwood out. The only thing I'll be concerned is they will probably let Ollie go, but the club comes first. Look, hypothetically, if Manchester United were to be sold, and I still think it's a big if. This is coming from one person, and I think maybe over the next few hours, maybe early tomorrow morning, somebody credible like Simon Stone or Simon Peach or somebody credible somewhere will come out and say it's a load of nonsense because United will make it. United will be concerned tonight because if it's true, they're going to have to do something. If it's not true, they will want to kill this dead very, very quickly. Because if you are the Glazers and you've got no intention of selling, and you're Ed Woodward and you know they're not going to sell, the last thing you want is a rumour going round that you're about to sell to some rich people who are going to spend a load of money on the club. So this is going to get killed off very, very quickly. But it's interesting to see how it will develop. But you know, what I would say is if there was a moral billionaire out there who just wanted to buy Manchester United to make us successful again, nobody could really complain, because if anybody should have a rich billionaire in charge of them, it should be us, because we're one of the richest clubs in the world and we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. So it makes sense that a billionaire would want to own us for status. Take Zlatan only to the summer and then no more, says Gunny. And Hazim Baziani says, hi Mark, I am from Saudi Arabia, but currently in Canada. And yes, we do know a lot about football. Most Saudis are very passionate Manchester United fans. Well, I wasn't brushstroking and saying that Saudi Arabians don't know anything about football, Hazim. What I was saying is, specifically, we would want the owners to know something about football, because we've currently got owners who know very, very little about football. Didn't know so many racist people watch the United stand. Let's keep politics out of football, says Paycard. Don't look, we've got a fantastic community on the United stand. Don't start falling out about things you don't even know yet. I've been talking about a hypothetical Saudi Arabian buying Manchester United. Everyone's jumping, thinking it's the people who've got allegations against them for all sorts of human rights issues. This journalist or this person who has just tweeted about 15 minutes ago talking about United being bought by Saudi Arabians. Actually, it's meant to be an unnamed Saudi Arabian. What if it's a Saudi Arabian businessman or woman nobody knows about? We need to know what the intentions of the Saudis are with our club, says Garkey. The reality is, Garkey, I like what you're saying there, but you know what? When all's said and done, what you think and what I think is irrelevant. If the Glazers want to sell, they could sell it to bloody ISIS. You know, that's the horrible thing. We have got no stake in the club. Nothing. The Glazers own our football club. They bought us on debt. They've pissed off a lot of our fans, and they can piss us off even more by selling us to somebody we don't want to be sold to. And we as fans can do nothing. You can get your green and gold scarf out again, but it won't stop anything once that deal's gone through. So we actually have no say in this. We can all... That's what this is for. That's what the United stands for. You can all get involved in the comments and we can all talk it out. But the reality is we don't really have a lot to say about it. You have a lot of fans from Saudi Arabia. Good work, says Hazem. And Thomas Crown says, Saudi Arabia is a wealthy country as well as their citizens. We have the power to invest in anything that is beneficial for us. And I think that's the attraction with Manchester United, isn't it? Especially for the oil states who have been very reliant on oil. The world is changing, whether it's climate change or whether it's renewable fuel outlets. Oil won't be around forever, quite literally. So all this money that these oil states have, they're doing what I would do. They're diversifying their wealth and their assets. So if you buy... You know, if you're an oil state and you've got all your money from oil, but you buy into Ferrari, well, Ferrari's going to be around for ages. It's a great asset to buy, and it's probably going to become more profitable. The same with Manchester United. If you buy into football and football's booming all the time, Manchester United's probably one of the best known clubs in the world. So it's a brilliant... Manchester United's a very desirable thing. If I was a billionaire and I had 5 billion and I went to the Glazers and said, how much would you sell it for? And they said 3 billion, I'd buy it because I'd still have 2 billion in my pocket. And I know that I could make Manchester United successful. Manchester United, and that's not just because I'm a United fan. That's not just because I'm a United fan. I'd buy Barcelona as well. So there it is. I mean, it's very interesting. Get in the comments if you're not watching live. Please do smash a like on the video if your Saudi's in. Let's get an indication of how people feel. Saudi's in is trending. At the start of this show, it was about Mahmoud Mahoub, who is Public Relations Director for Government Affairs. He put on LinkedIn that United had been sold to a unnamed Saudi investor. And whilst we've been on air, he has tweeted, only when hashtag Saudis are in, no competitor in the market, we power the world investment. Hashtag Manchester United. So whoever this person is, and they've got over 100,000 followers on Twitter, and they are blue tick verified, they are going to town on United and Saudi Arabia. So I don't know. It's really weird. I've got to say, I don't believe it's going to become anything. But it's a weird story to have on a Friday night, isn't it? Let's see how it goes. There we go. Comment here coming in from Mohammed Salim. He says, hey Mark, following you from New York. Great work. Love the show. Should keep human rights separate. Do you know about the human rights violations in Qatar during the World Cup? Exactly. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Lots of people have stories, dodgy is probably not the right word, but things going on or allegations. So we're just going to have to wait and see where this goes. As I say, I predict somebody will come out tonight. In fact, as I go to, let's just have a quick look on Twitter. As I say, I predict that somebody verified close to Manchester United will come out this evening and say that there's absolutely nothing in this. But he's tweeted again. He's done it again. He's tweeted again, the same person. He's 4 minutes ago. Saudi Arabia is a wealthy country as well as their citizens. We have the power to invest in anything that is beneficial for us. That's what he's basically saying. And then somebody else has said, it's a telecom deal, guys. Hold your horses. Saudi Telecom, the largest telecommunications service provider in the Middle East, has signed a 5-year agreement with Manchester United Football Club, uniting the two brands in marketing campaigns and promotional activities in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And that is apparently coming out of Manchester United Football Club. So there you go. I mean, if that's true, that would definitely fit in with what I thought, that Manchester United are over there to get brand deals. So it's looking like that, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we? I don't think the Glazers are going anywhere, and I think that it's just all about them making more and more money for themselves. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens with it. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I mean, just what also was quite interesting as well, that Manchester United... Let me just have a quick look at this tweet as well. Okay, and apparently there's all sorts going off. You can get optimistic again now, because that telecommunications deal was from a while ago. So look, as I say, we need a bit of clarity on this at United, and that's what we definitely do need. I want to talk about what Gary Neville said as well, but let me just double check something, because apparently we've had a new tweet. Maybe he's just doing it for followers, but some clarity will surely come out from Manchester United very, very soon. Maybe even while we're on air. But it's certainly opened up a debate point, and I think that's always an interesting thing, especially as a fan community. Apparently he's tweeted again. Yeah, that was the one I read. He said, he's a wealthy country, as well as their citizens. We have the power to invest in anything that is beneficial for us. So let's just see what happens. If you want the Saudis to buy Manchester United, the dream is still alive. If you don't, then that dream is still alive as well. I see this as an investment, not a takeover. The Saudis are trying to make themselves a haven for sport, WWE, boxing, and now investing in the biggest club in the world, says Robert Brennan. And Aidan G says, Mark, what if the Saudis become worse than the Glazers? Beneficial for them, but will it be for the good of our club? And this is what I mean. We don't know where the grass isn't always greener, isn't it? But let's bring it back to the present. Manchester United will kick off the Premier League weekend tomorrow against Bournemouth. We've done the previews on that. But Gary Neville has come out and said that the results have been very good recently, and Ollie seems to have turned a page, but he will know himself that he is only one bad result away from the circus of pressure coming back to him. And I think that is correct as we move into this game against Bournemouth. I've said it's a big game. Really looking forward to it. Make sure you join us tomorrow at 11:30 for the watch-along. But yeah, I think Gary Neville was right, and obviously we know Gary Neville's a big fan of Ollie, but without question, the as I said, Rance calls him Wally, not Ollie. He's convinced that he's not going to be the right man for Manchester United. And I was speaking to Robbie from AFTV today, and he said long term he ain't the right manager for you. So there's still a lot of people saying that it's that there is this can go wrong for United. I personally think we will win, but I do think that, pressure is never going to be far from Ollie's door, which is why I said earlier on the press conference reaction, if you've not seen it, Ollie looked a little bit more subdued than I thought he would do. But a massive game for United against Bournemouth tomorrow, and I hope we can get the win. In other news, there's talk of Chris Smalling joining Roma for £15 million. Simon Cliff says, Mark, in terms of morals, the Glazers have been raping our club for years in the context of taking money out of the club. Fair point. And look, Smalling, let's just talk about him. The reality is that here we go. People are now telling me to do something else. It's all going on. It's difficult when you're live and things are happening because you can't be prepped. I'm just going to check the Manchester United website because apparently there has been an announcement, but I thought I saw something then. God, my computer is like Matic. Yeah, I mean, about Smalling, I think that I'd be 50 million for Smalling's a decent deal, of course it is. But in reality, I'd rather keep Smalling than Jones. But fair play to Smalling for getting a move away if he does do it. And he's really impressing at Roma, so good for him. Good for him. I tell you what, rather than going on the United website, I think the reality is it's probably better just to do Twitter. It's a lot quicker. Let's have a look if we've got anything coming in here. No, I can't see anything there. They are investing in sport because Oli has peaked, says B. Yakov. And is Pogba back for the game? No, he's not. No, he isn't. He's not back for the game. So, I mean, there's also talk about Tahith Chong going to Juventus, which I was meant to talk about this morning and then I completely forgot. But his agent has now come out and said that, you know, we will look at other offers on the table if we don't get what we think is a fair offer from Manchester United. And I think in the case of Chong, I like Chong. I know a lot of you've written him off already, but it's interesting that his agent is out there saying if we don't get the offer we want from Manchester United, we will look elsewhere in these links with Juventus. It does actually make me want to say, well, off you go then, because where's the justification to give Chong the deal that you want? Like, there is a part of football that's really important for players, and that is performing on the pitch. I've said this before. We're apparently about to announce that Lingard's going to get a new contract. He's done sod all since the last contract. And why? So yeah. If I was United, I wouldn't be bending over backwards to give Chong a deal until he starts to really prove himself in the first team, which I'm one of the few thinks he can do. But at the moment, he's not doing anything. So why would we be too concerned about Chong agent talking about other clubs? Crack on, mate. You know, if somebody wants to buy him at the moment, we need to see more than that. 50 million is a joke for Smalling, says Illa United, but it's a joke that makes me laugh. If we get it, I'd take 15 million for Smalling. I wouldn't take Zlatan. I know I spoke about that and moved on from it when the Saudi thing was going on, but I wouldn't take him. And Lingard should go, says 13 EPL champions. Let's take some of your questions. Jash Sangvi says, Mark, now instead of the Manchester Derby, it will be the Abu Dhabi. And the guy is a journalist, pro-officer of the Royal Princess, not an unnamed investor. Check his bio. Okay, I will check that. Thank you very much. Nothing against the guy, but in my opinion, Chong is the least talented out of the current crop, says Abra. I actually do like Chong. I've always been a big fan of Chong, and people who've watched the channel for a while will know that I'm a big fan of Chong. I just want to see him given more game time, and he doesn't seem to be getting any at the moment. So, yeah. I mean, look, a lot of people are talking about a potential takeover. I think we may as well, what's the word? Not encourage it. We may as well flirt with it for the next however long we've got, because I don't think it's going to take long for something to come out and absolutely kill the rumour dead. But hypothetically, we've got no issues with the owner. They're a billionaire. They want Manchester United back on top, and they're willing to spend to get us back to the top. I think that would be the scenario we want. That's four things, isn't it? What wants to spend to get us back on top? They're a billionaire. Nothing that concerns us about them as an owner. But, you know, life's never like that, is it? You know, it won't happen probably. If it does happen, we're probably going to have to put up with something that we don't want to put up with. FC United Forever says, and they've got 4 investment companies that own more of the club than they do. Okay. And can you people imagine the... Oh, no, I'm not going to read that out. People are getting too political. I'm not going to read out political things because, as I say, at this moment in time, it's unsubstantiated. We're talking about a hypothetical purchase of Manchester United. What I would say is, though, hashtag Saudis in is trending on Twitter. So there's a lot of people that would like this to happen. They're so fed up with the Glazers that they would take pretty much anything. I think. Have to sit in the home end tomorrow away from United to Spencer. Hard to get tickets for Bournemouth. Flex was talking to me about that today. Mark, there's my shopping list for the Saudis. Oblak, Robertson, Van Dijk, Laporte, Alexander, Arnold, Pogba, Verratti, Kante, Messi, Lewandowski and Sterling. Well, I don't want any Liverpool players, Simon Cliff. You know, money's nice, but we don't want to go and do that. YT Red Devil says, is this bullshit or what, Mark? Right, okay. Can I be honest? I know I always am. When I went live on this show, it was just something from somebody on LinkedIn. That's what it was. And now that I've found their Twitter page, which I'm sure many people have, and he's got 112,000 followers on Twitter. He's got a blue tick on Twitter, and he's tweeted saying, Saudi Arabia is a wealthy country as well as their citizens. We have the power to invest in anything that is beneficial for us. Hashtag Manchester United. Now, we know that Manchester United have a delegation over in Saudi Arabia this week. We also know that factually they're over there looking for investment. They're not looking to sell. They're looking for investment. They're looking for investment deals, brand deals, whatever. So is it likely that United have been sold while that delegation was over there? I don't think it is. It's possible, but I don't think it is. I think you're looking at investment, maybe a purchase of some shares, which can be the beginning of a takeover. That tends to be how it is. But at this point in time, I would take it with not a pinch of salt, a bag of salt. That's how I would take it. But it's certainly opened a conversation that Manchester United Football Club need to close very, very quickly. Now, whether they do it officially, I don't think they can. But they certainly have got journalists who they brief, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a journalist briefed tonight and tweeting out tonight saying there's absolutely nothing in the rumours that United are being sold to Saudi Arabia. Because it's bad for Manchester United that we're talking about this, that social media is talking about this, getting excited about this, if the Glazers are going to stay. Because all that will happen is the people who want Saudis to buy Manchester United will get very disappointed when it doesn't happen, and their frustration will go back onto the Glazers who are in it for the long term. So they need to shut it down very, very quickly. Red Devil says Glazers in. A few people saying Saudis in as well. It's garbage, says Mawada. And Matic and Mata in midfield is a human rights violation, says Hajar. And well, Glazers out, the clowns, says Illa United. And James Borties says, if the Glazers stay, forget Bruno Fernandes or Mata, we'll get a 12-year contract. Life's never that simple, is it? It's a shame. It's a shame because realistically, we don't like the owners we've got. We know they're incompetent. They bought us on debt. They bleed us dry. We want to get taken over by a billionaire who wants to make Manchester United the best club in the world. That's the simple equation. Of course, real life gets in the way. And the billionaire who wants to make Manchester United great may well have a background that causes huge issues for some of our fan base. And then you're like, well, do you stick with these owners who are bleeding us dry? Or do you go with these billionaires who've got all sorts of accusations against them and their wealth? It's never easy, is it? It's never easy. The ideal situation is that a billionaire comes in who's made their money. You know, they started off living in a council flat in Evesham, and they came up with a great idea. They started selling it in a shop. They expanded. They became a millionaire, then a multimillionaire, then a billionaire, and you know they love their family. He's married, lots of kids, never cheated on them. You know, absolutely perfect human being. Wants to buy Manchester United, but life's not like that. Mark, the Red Devils have sold them out to Satan if you sell up, says Zayn Miasi. You're just jealous, Zayn, because you're an Arsenal fan. That's what you are. Jason Miller says, well, honestly, Mark, how will you as fans deal with the humanitarian abuse? You know what? There's a few people asking me that, but that's the first person to really directly ask it. How would I feel, Mark Goldbridge, if we were bought by the Saudi Arabian royal family and the allegations that are against them? I would seriously have concerns about it. That's my honest answer. I would seriously have concerns about it because I know some people say it's football, but I would have to really think about it. I would have to think about it. I would have to do some research on it, and I would have to come to a position on it because the reality is it's football, and football's very, very important to us. But you can't just dismiss everything because you want your club to be the best. It poses a difficult problem that we may never have to answer. But as I've said, the problem is there's nothing to stop the Glazers selling. Well, there is, because the Premier League would stop at letting us be sold to ISIS. But the Glazers could sell us to any billionaire. We don't have a say in it. We don't. A lot of people are asking about Haaland. What is your opinion on signing him if we do, says Great Banter. I would like to sign him. I think he's a good signing for Manchester United. He used to be under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Molde. He's gone to Salzburg. He's done very, very well. He's very, very young. I think he's 19, 20. He's 6'4". We need a taller striker. He ticks every single box. Every single box. Because Ollie knows him. He's young. He's tall. He scores goals. He's got development. He's going to come to United and look at it and love it. He's exactly who United should sign. That's what I would say. You're telling me Mandzukic or Zlatan or Haaland. It's Haaland every day of the week and Sunday. It has to be. How many people not wanting the Saudis are just worried about the banter we will receive regarding buying trophies rather than the human rights issues, says Nick P. Interesting. And Zayn Miasi, Mark, did you know the Saudis are anti-Semitic as they don't let Jews enter the country? Well, I don't know, Zayn, whether that's true or not. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of stick for that. What I would say is, Zayn and anybody, I wouldn't start preaching political stuff unless you're absolutely factual. And if you're doing that, I think you're just going to end up getting into arguments with people. And I don't really like that on the United stand because we've never been allowed about that. I like opinion, but I've always said when things get political, people start to fall out. And so I would warn people about doing that. You're just going to end up falling out with each other. The reality is, we are talking here about a hypothetical sale of Manchester United. And I don't actually think we will be selling Manchester United. I expect by this time tomorrow when I'm live for the watch along, well, it won't be this time tomorrow, it'll be less than that, it'll be about 12 hours time, 14 hours time, that and England will have won the World Cup by then, that we will have had this dismissed. Would the Saudi pass the fit and proper persons test, says Robert Brennan? I wouldn't hold too much credit towards that, the fit and proper persons test, to be honest with you. Premier League's made plenty of mistakes about that. And Matthew Edlin says, well, you could say that the British government kill people too. 007, James Bond, but he's got a licence to kill. It's Friday night, people. Just I tell you what I would advise you do, instead of getting all angry and political, just take the hypothetical thing. And if you don't want the sale, fine. If you do want the sale, fine. And then let's just wait for somebody to come out and clarify. Werner reminds me of Rudy, says Darshan Singhvi. He does. I really quite like him. And somebody, I know that's why I love Discord, shows you get to talk. Would you let Jay-Z buy Man United, says Luke Endolo. Oh, imagine if we got bought by a celebrity. And Samuel says, I hope there is some truth in the sale because I'm fed up of the Glazers. And that, I think to be honest with you, where whatever or whoever is being touted as taking over United, I think if you rang a straw poll, most people would want United, the Glazers out. And I think that's the problem. And I think that is the issue as well. Some fans are so desperate for the Glazers to go, they'll consider, I'm not going to say they will consider anything as an alternative, no matter how dubious. Anyway, look, we could go on and on about this. If you're not watching live, I hope you've enjoyed it. You can get your comments in below. If you are watching live, thanks for joining the debate. I think this is what this channel is all about, and I really appreciate everybody who has been commenting, listening, and getting involved. Saudi's in is trending on Twitter. There is this guy who is tweeting about a deal. Let's just hold on and see what happens. Maybe later on tonight. Certainly, I think by tomorrow morning we'll have some clarity on it, and I expect that clarity to be United are not up for sale, because United can't let this hang. Guarantee you, phones will be ringing in the communications departments of Manchester United right now, waiting, trying to get something. Journalists will be ringing up saying, what's going on? Are you going to do anything? And there will be something coming out. I read that our second biggest investor isn't happy with the amount of money being spent on players, says Gordon Murray. Yeah, he probably wants more bloody money in his pocket. Thanks everyone for watching. Do all of you take care. Remember, you're all part of this community. Let's not hate. That's not what we're about. It's all about debate, not hate. I'll see you in the morning for the watch along at 11:30 when England will be World Cup rugby winners. I hope so. But and then hopefully we'll smash Bournemouth. and then we can enjoy the weekend. So thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon. Interesting show. Wasn't expecting it to be about that tonight. Had something else planned, but this is what we're all about. Subscribe if you're new. Bottom right hand corner. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 11:30 for the team news and the watch along for Bournemouth. Thanks for watching.